here to deliver this message on behalf of the entire White House. Let me be clear. The violence we saw yesterday at our nation's capital was appalling, reprehensible, and antithetical to the American way. We condemn it, the president and this administration, in the strongest possible terms. It is unacceptable, and those that broke the law should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I stood here at this podium the day after a historic church burned amid violent riots, and I said this: the First Amendment guarantees the right of the people to peaceably assemble. What we saw last night in Washington and across the country was not that, end quote. Make no mistake, what we saw yesterday afternoon in the halls of our Capitol likewise was not that. We grieve for the loss of life and those injured, and we hold them in our prayers and close to our hearts at this time. We thank our valiant law enforcement officers who are true American heroes. What we saw yesterday was a group of violent rioters undermining the legitimate First Amendment rights of the many thousands who came to peacefully have their voices heard in our nation's capital. Those who violently besieged our capital are the opposite of everything this administration stands for. The core value of our administration is the idea that all citizens have the right to live in safety, peace, and freedom. Those who are working in this building are working to ensure an orderly transition of power. Now it is time for America to unite, to come together, to reject the violence that we have seen. We are one American people under God. Thank you very much.
Another important point for the country is that this morning, President Trump explicitly called for demonstrations and protests to be peaceful. He was far more, you can moan and groan, but he was far more explicit about his calls for peace than some of the BLM and left-wing rioters were this summer when we saw violence sweep across this nation. Now, I know there are many countries where political violence may be necessary, but America is not one such country. Madam Speaker, it was wrong when people vandalized and defaced your home. It was wrong when thugs went to Senator Hawley's home. Now, we should seek to build America up, not tear her down and destroy her. And I am sure glad that at least for one day, I didn't hear my Democrat colleagues calling to defund the police. Now, I appreciate all the talk.
It was a very disturbing day yesterday. I had a lot of anger, as so many of my colleagues, that the Capitol got overrun, and these were anarchists and terrorists. There's no place for it. And all of us that were unequivocal yesterday, just like we were unequivocal during the summer, that there is no place in this country to resort to violence to solve differences. That's not who we are as a country. It was very upsetting to see it happen yesterday. It was critical, as some of my other colleagues have said, that we had to take the House back and come back to work last night. And we did. And that was a big focus of the day when the Capitol had gotten overrun, that we had to get it back. And I just really do appreciate the work that our Capitol Police do. Many of them were injured, assaulted during that overrun. And, my heart was going out to them because I knew the things that they were dealing with, and as well as colleagues and staff who were still in the Capitol during a lot of that period.
Right. 14 officers were injured. 2 of them had to go to the hospital. 4 people died in total.
There was plenty of flashbangs going on. There was plenty of, people getting punched in the face, and a lot of assaulting police defending themselves. And it was a whole big mess. Now, the reason that they may give you, as far as those that went into the Capitol, the reason they may give you for going in there is that, well, the election was stolen, it's fraudulent, we the people, we're going to take the whole thing back, it's revolution. But all that actually happened was a brief interruption, all right? It was a brief interruption. After they cleared the Capitol out, after they arrested like 50-something people, they cleared the Capitol out, and they got right back to work, all right? The federales got called by Trump, by the way. Okay, Trump called the federales within 90 minutes. So they were down there protecting everything, clearing everything out. And that was that. They went back to work. So this whole thing about, oh, it's a revolution, all this and that, it was a nothing burger because that was just a brief interruption. All of that was for nothing.
I mean, I'm all for protesting.
Yeah.
But what y'all did at the Capitol building, I don't think that was patriotic at all.
Yeah.
Y'all stormed the Capitol building. A woman ends up getting shot in the neck. From what I see from reports, she died.
Yeah. I mean, if y'all would have just stood on the steps and chanted, I mean,
and protested. Yeah, that's fine. But what y'all did, I mean, y'all got into a Capitol building. What is that going to do? What is that going to change?
Yeah, because, look, when you approach these federal peace officers, right, I mean, they ain't got nothing to do with this. I mean, you putting a lot of people's lives at risk, and they're just there doing their job.
All it takes is one psycho.
Yeah.
Just to get everything going.
And a woman lost her life today. Yeah.
I mean, it's
just
that was the
very
wrong
sad.
thing to do, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
I get why you pissed. I am pissed.
Yeah. And I understand what y'all going through. I'm going through it too.
So the response across the board is absolute shock, horror, and it should be shock and horror because I've never seen anything like this. Have you ever seen anything like this? I haven't. I spoke to several Congress people yesterday who were rushed into safe spots in the Capitol building. Senators were all being housed together. Various Congress people were being sheltered in their offices, protected by Capitol Police and in some cases Secret Service. Lawmakers, staff members, according to the AP, were hiding under tables, hunkered in lockdown, saying prayers, seeing the fruits of the country's divisions up close and violent. Guns were drawn. The images are absolutely stunning. The guns were drawn in the Capitol chamber. They're literally people dressed as barbarians, taking over the Capitol chamber, sitting in the vice president's seat. You can see this image, Secret Service agents pointing guns at one of the doors as people try to break into the doors of the Capitol building. The full-scale takeover of the Capitol building and the destruction of property wholesale and the wounding of police officers, 2 are in the hospital. The shooting of a rioter, right, in the halls of Congress. Egregious stuff.
Because I think it's an important time for our country to come together. We have political differences. It's been something our country's had for over 240 years, and we celebrate our differences. We don't resort to violence to do that, and we can't do it now. Again, what happened yesterday should be condemned by everybody, just like what happened during last summer should have been condemned when people resorted to violence.
Right.
And so let's come back together. Let's tone down the rhetoric. And, we're not all going to agree on everything. That's not who America is either. But how we do it says a lot about us. And we need to be better about how we tone down the rhetoric to come together where we can.